Yeah, like why is it such a shocker that this person has children,
Like,
biological
have you not?
children?
And have you not seen Tamisha out of drag? Tamisha looked like she got 3 kids.
Right. Like I just everything everything that came out of Tamisha's mouth, they were all just like, and again, you're in the presence of a literal drag legend. So, of course, to an extent, everything that this person says, you're going to leech on to and just be completely enamored by. I am the supreme.
Hi,
I
everybody.
love this song
Welcome to
by
Call
Ava.
In, Call Out, the exclusive after show for Drag for the Left. This is your girl, the very Reverend Dr. Juanita Bind'Em.
And this is Avery. My drag name this week is Shanita Man with two N's.
And we'd like to thank you all for being here. Let's get into this good. It is Call In, Call Out, which again is our exclusive after show where we're going to talk about the shit from a radical leftist perspective. And I like to get into it. First and foremost, I'd like to start off by dedicating this episode of Call In, Call Out to the Tamisha Iman. She
Legend.
is a legend. This is a Tamisha Iman Stan podcast. If you follow us on social media at Drag from the Left, that's DRAGFTL, Drag from the Left on all social media. All those accounts are Tamisha Iman Stan accounts. And
Yep.
she is the most sickening. And I'm really glad to have her on season 13 of RuPaul's Drag Race so that I can be blessed with the opportunity to talk about her right here with all of you.
Yes. So, my call in this week um, is centered around Tamisha, but mainly centered around how people are receiving Tamisha. Right.
Yeah.
So throughout the episode, they have called Tamisha the mother of the group, the mama of the group, the elder, and really pointed language surrounding her age, which cannot be separated from her race. It just can't. Um, so, trying to say this in a way. So, this is the call in. It's not a call out. Let me start there. Um, this is just a call in. So, as I said before, so that we are careful about the language that we're using, especially when we're talking about and to Black folk and other people of color, right? Um, so, in the 80s, um, the brilliant sociologist Patricia Hill Collins wrote about something called controlling images, right? Um, it is expanded upon in her book Black Feminist Thought, and I really want to focus on chapter 4, which is all about the mammy trope, right?
Yeah.
Um, the mammy trope is, or the mammy controlling image, is one that particular to particular for Black women. It is one that is kind of void of sexuality or sexual orientation, and is always in a position of servitude, mainly to whiteness, right?
Yeah.
Um, it is a trope that places Black women as the ultimate nurturer, ultimately selfless, ultimately, like I said, in servitude for everyone else around them except for herself, right?
Right. And
Um,
a primary example of this can be seen in the award-winning film Gone with the Wind.
mhm.
Hattie McDaniel's an amazing Black actor, the
Yes,
first
yes.
person to win a an Oscar in the acting category. Miss Hattie McDaniel's played Mammy, the name of the damn character,
Yeah,
in that movie. And that was the way that she was presented, like textbook presented, and how we see that happen all the time. Yeah.
right. So controlling images in layman's terms are basically boxes placed on, in this instance, we're talking specifically about Black women, boxes placed on Black women that are based on harmful stereotypes that are used to kind of not kind of, that are used to dehumanize Black women and exploit their labor, right? That is the main purpose for them. Um, and they're based in this like kind of binary thinking that promotes otherness, right? It it separates social groups and ultimately ranks them to says that one is better than the other based on this kind of oppositional binary thinking that we are accustomed to. So, um, in Collins' work, she identifies, I think there's five here, five controlling images. One being the mammy, which we're going to talk about today, the matriarch, the welfare queen, the black lady, and the Jezebel. I think most people are familiar with the Jezebel, but today we're going to talk about the mammy, right? And I bring this up because the way that a lot of people, not only on the show but in the fandom in quotation marks, um, are engaging with Tamisha Iman, it's kind of mammifying her in a way that kind of makes me uncomfortable, right?
Well, it makes
um,
me very uncomfortable as well because what we do in that moment, whether it is well intended or not, which oftentimes I do not think it is, and I am not
yeah,
giving people the benefit of the doubt on this.
no,
I think we really need to challenge our thinking on a level that is much, much, much more intense, specifically white people. But what it instantaneously does, it takes her out as a competitor. And at the end of the day, RuPaul's Drag Race is a competition for $100,000 and the opportunity at drag stardom. And if we appreciate that or not, that's what the girls are there fighting for. And when they
right,
do this to her, what they have said to me is that she is not a competitor. Like, she has not competed in over 200 pageants and have 95 plus titles underneath her motherfucking belt. As if she has not also birthed a legendary house that includes the late Tandy Iman, who did the drop from the ceiling in the Wonder Woman costume. Like, she also has gave birth to other greatness. So to take her out, when in fact, if you watching the competition with eyes that are not doused in fucking white supremacist eyeglasses, she has been killing it.
right.
And the other girl should be afraid, very
Agreed.
afraid.
Agreed. But they're not, and this is speaking to the dehumanization of the trope, because like, she's not viewed as a competitor. She's almost not viewed as a person, and it harkens back to, I think, the modern day kind of understanding of the mammy trope is the strong black woman trope, right? Someone
Yeah.
who has endured a whole lot, who has been through a lot, but is still standing up and fighting and being gracious. And when you put them on this pedestal of you're so strong, you're so great, you're so perfect. How did you do this? Um, it quite
It dooms
literally
them to
takes
be
away their
burned by,
personhood.
yep.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
quite literally does that, and that's evidenced in the way that they were interacting with her throughout the course of the episode. When she said she was 49, when she said she has three biological kids, and they acted so shocked. I'm like, you acting like gay folks can't have children?
Well, also to me, it's on a bigger level. It is a primary example of how the girls and the competitors in the art and culture of drag, specifically on RuPaul's Drag Race, lurches off the charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent of Black culture, but do not really have a
Hmm.
greater understanding of how that works interpersonally and with people. Because I, for one, when Tamisha said she had 3 children, and I'm not surprised, she's 49 years old, which means she would have been born in the mid late 70s, right?
Hmm.
I mean, in the early 70s, she is a Black cisgendered man, as far as we know, uh,
Hmm.
from the South. No, I'm not surprised she motherfucking got kids. How many of our
Right.
fucking gay ass uncles, dudes that we drink with at the bar, people that we
Right.
know, Black dudes, niggas that
Dudes
we
we hooked up
fucking
with
got fucking
got
kids?
children, multiple.
Like, and also gay people, if they want to, can fucking have babies. But it also, it shouldn't be a surprise if you know Black culture, if you understand these things. Yes, you can be like, oh, I didn't know you have kids, but be so surprised by the circumstances that Tamisha would
Right.
have 3 kids just shows me how much you don't know about your Black queer culture that you spend so much time becoming famous off of, you know? And that's the part
Exactly.
that is just so like, well, girl, what you confused about?
Yeah. Like, why is it such a shocker that this person has children,
Like,
biological
have you not,
children?
and have you not seen Tamisha out of drag? Tamisha looked like she got 3 kids.
Right. Like, I just everything everything that came out of Tamisha's mouth, they were all just like, and again, you're in the presence of a literal drag legend. So, of course, to an extent, everything that this person says, you're going to leech on to and just be completely enamored by. But like, it was just in a way, they just interacted with her in a way that was kind of void of, like you said, this is not a real competitor in my eyes, but two, this is not like even a person. Like, and again, this is not controlling images is less about the people themselves, but it is more about how people interact, react to them, and then the socio-political structures that enforce this oppressive nature. Right.
Right. So, although we're watching a television show where the majority of the contestants are men, right? The majority of them
Mm-hmm.
live a life in some variety of maleness or proximity to it, or benefit from the privileges of their proximity to it, right? But
Mm-hmm.
because they are performing the art form of female illusion, it does not the politics that happen and affect women are wrapped up inside of this show as well, right? And
Right.
when we do this to the character and the performer of Tamisha, that is ultimately a person underneath, it gives us a very clear snapshot and image about how we view women, and specifically how we view Black women in the United States of America. And we can see this played out not only in this television show, because once again, these structures you mentioned, the other forms and styles of this. So you got mammification, you have like the Jezebel,
Mm-hmm.
you have the Sapphire type of character, and the
Mm-hmm.
angry Black woman tropes. Like they did the same thing to Vixen, right? And they've done that
Right.
on other shows. But then we also see this played out in the lives of people that we know and people that are close to us. We see it in other mainstays television shows. And although I think things right now in media, I think are better than they were before in terms of this representation, we often only get it in a limited dose. And then when we get it, it still is wrapped up in proximity to whiteness. Primary example,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have Viola Davis, right? One of the
Mm-hmm.
greatest actors, in my opinion, to ever live.
Mm-hmm.
Also, one is beautifully awarded for it, not necessarily paid on the level as her contemporaries, as we know. But they've played these characters too. Like she played the mammy in The Help. You know what I'm saying? That's really what
Right.
she was there too, right? And then you
Mm-hmm.
have her playing more of a Jezebel type character, but then I trying to push her to be more of like a powerful, complex woman and how to get away with murder, right? But then that's
Mm-hmm.
still wrapped up in the proximity to whiteness, when her primary, like her husband, white, her lesbian love, white woman, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? And then the only Black guy that she falls in love with, he freaking fits into every Black man stereotype almost that we can, you know what I'm saying? Dad
And
went
he's
to
a
jail and
cop.
got shot. He a motherfucking cop. He big,
Mm-hmm.
strong, very aesthetically, like he fits the desire of the white gaze. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it we need to call it out so that we can start getting complex, true stories that aren't just also entertaining to watch, but are liberating to the lives of real people.
Right. And that's what this call and call out section was all about. That's what it was designed to do, is to make sure we really interrogate um, our language, the way we engage with each other, even if it's little things like calling the older Black woman in the group the mom of the group. Like those have real socio-political implications that have to be unpacked if we want to be, progressive, well-rounded, not shitty people.
Right. And then like the essentialist rhetoric that comes from what we do this, the way we minimize and pretty much really also like dehumanize individuals, it really reinforces like a racist imagination
Hmm.
that supports and anti-blackness. And the sad and fucked up part about it is that people, like you said, initially commodify off it, is wrapped up in capitalism. People are making money off of Taylor making an image about us that is often not true, or only truth adjacent.
Right.
Um and 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 then again, it reinforces again the same system that is in turn causing violence and harm and tragedy to us out in the real world.
Yeah.
But when it comes to specifically the Drag Race, I'm looking at Tamisha, right? The way that they tell their story, I am really disappointed in the story producing of her, because I think there was an opportunity here to tell like an award-winning, beautiful, heart tugging, triumphant story with this that shows Tamisha as someone who has risen, who has overcome, who is a winner, who is vulnerable, who is beautiful, and they are living they're performing and living like that on the show, but it's not being played up and framed in that manner. I personally feel like a juxtaposition. I feel conflict, roughness, tension between the actual things that are happening, the way that she is showing up in the workroom, and then the theatrical edit of the television show. And I don't know if anyone else is noticing that. Tamisha is giving me something that is honest, is true, is vulnerable, is also, like she said, I'm bent, not broken. You know, I'm in here. I'm a competitor. I'm coming for the crown. You know what I'm saying? This is what I do. This is what I fucking do. I've done this for as long as every single other bitch has been alive on this fucking show. Okay?
Like you saying you're 25 years old. I've been doing this since I've been in the game for 30 years. Quite literally, you're elder.
I literally have used condoms older than you. Dead ass.
I got dildos older than you.
Okay, I got babies in a little latex little hot pocket somewhere in a landfill in Atlanta. Okay, older than you. And we do this. And also, if y'all have not taken the time, I just really need y'all to go on to YouTube. Matter of fact, I'm gonna share a link onto our social media.
I put one on Twitter on our Twitter the other day.
Yeah, and I'm gonna try to start posting them, like, cause I be going down like a YouTube rabbit hole and finding old videos and performances of Tamisha doing her thing. Like her interest line, "Holla at me, I know you know me. Holla at me, I know you know me," comes from a legendary performance of hers that y'all need to go fucking watch. The bitch 1996. The bitch is fucking stunning. Also, she can fucking twirl. The bitch can twirl flags. She can twirl ribbon, baton, cloth. She is a performer. And then she straight up said it on this episode. Like, when they were preparing for the main stage performance of Phenomenon, like, I am a choreographer. I've been doing this for a long time. My physical body cannot do what it used to do. So I'm going to sit back for a little minute and let the youngin' shine. And just because she's not leading the choreography and that she can't do the kick splits, literal backflips and heels, like, that's not nothing new. Like, Kennedy Davenport talked about this on her social media page, that y'all need to put some respect on Tamisha's name. Like, we love Kennedy. At least performance wise, I think universally across the fandom, we can appreciate that she's a killer fucking performer. I don't think everybody appreciates her generally as a star that she was, even though she, like, on her main season was, like, I think top 4, and then in All Stars was top 2 next to Trixie, who should, whatever, we ain't gonna talk about that, but or whatever. She really pioneered this drag performance style that really has the arm wind up, the high kick, the split, the pussy slam, the jump up and down, the backflips and heels, the dipping off stage. She was part of pioneering that whole era that we love to see at the club. When you at the club and the bitch do the dip, the split, the kick, and to the backflip in the heels and the tornado spin off the stage, like, we be getting our motherfucking life. And this is where it comes from. You have fucking gay, queer history in front of you. And I think that's something too that we talk about. We have to think as people, specifically as gay people and in the Black community, how we've lost generations of leaderships during the AIDS crisis, right? There are literal generations of people and mentors and just beautiful souls that we do not have the opportunity to learn from, that other generations had that type of passing down of the torch, and we're missing a big piece of it, and this is a beautiful moment for there to be, like, intergenerational connecting, right? Learning, appreciating, and existing, that is not happening in its fullness, and the girls are really robbing themselves of an experience as well, because we know as competitors in competition, we compete better when we're being pushed by people that are great. But if we can't identify the greatness in the people around us, we don't raise ourselves to the gate too. What we do is, when we see somebody that we identify and not seeing them as a strong competitor, we perform weaker because we don't got to put in that energy. But in our reality, baby, you do. You need to.
Agreed. I want to backpedal a little bit to something that you said about how Tamisha is a part of pioneering kind of our contemporary understanding of what we believe to be, like, a good drag performance.
Yeah.
And that is why I always preach you have to give reverence to the Blackness that is foundational to our contemporary understanding of drag. Like, this was started.
Absolutely.
Our modern understanding of drag and especially the format that has been played out on the show of drag, like that was created and pioneered by Black queer people, Black trans women, and Black queer people, period. And to not give reverence to that history is racist. Like you said, doing yourself a disservice.
Racist,
It,
ahistorical, like the list
yeah,
goes on.
like I remember when I forgot, it might have been season 10 with the Vixen. Um, but I was writing a piece that, I'm not going to get into the drama behind it. But I was writing a piece that was basically saying like our modern understanding of drag was started by Black trans women and Black queer folk.
Right.
So the disrespect of the Black queens like is racist and ahistorical on this program, and it's time for Drag Race to take accountability for that and takes Drag Race as the franchise to take accountability for that and to move a different way until they're able and willing to take accountability for the harm that is done to Black queens on this very platform that has been built on the backs of Black queerness. It's not going until you do right by me. Everything you think about is going to crumble. Like you need to,
Yeah.
you need to acknowledge the harm you have done. You need to give reverence to the history that this was built on, and you need to make it right.
Yeah, and the caveat of that is, and I'm going to say this right now, and this statement is paraphrasing some tweet that I saw today, and I'm going to go back and retweet you and shout you out on the internet because I am not going to be a plagiarizer, but this idea is not completely original, but I do want to give credit to the person who said it, so I will look back and see it. But to paraphrase it is, I need white people to have a much larger and bigger energy into being anti-racist, identifying anti-Black behavior and changing it. And I say this specifically people who are closer on the scale of change. I'm not saying this. Yes, of course, we know racists, Trump supporters and the far radical right or whatever need to get their shit together. But for those people who are dressed in the cloak of liberalism and leftist politics, and so claim to be Black Lives Matter this, which to me oftentimes I feel like white people are just coding, trying to send off safety codes to get closer proximity to Blackness, specifically on gay apps. We'll talk about that in the next episode because I have a whole thing about that, particularly as it pertains to the show. But I need people to start putting their money where their mouth is. White people do this thing where they do just a little to get by with that, because it leads them, it still supports the racism. It leads them to believe that they aren't that far off, that there's not that much work to do, that it's okay if you're just a little bit racist, right? But it's not okay. These little bits are not so little after all, and they play into those bigger systems that directly correlate to harm happening to individuals. And then, and the periphery of that type of anti-Blackness, that type of ahistorical behavior that's not rooted in any actual fact, does not work for them either. You know what I'm saying? Those same energies lead to harm and disenfranchisement that happens to them, but on a different way that doesn't result in the same type of violence to the physical body and to people's livelihoods, but it happens to them as well. So for all y'all that's listening to this podcast out there, particularly my non-Black listeners, that's what y'all, the work is for y'all to do. And and I say that too with the show, the queens, when the things they're experiencing, what we talked about last week, losing is the new winning. No, losing is not the new winning. I do not need to sit back and figure out ways to cope with racism, bigotry, transphobia, essentialism, ableist ideas, and all of that bullshit. No, people need to be called out and called in. People need to take accountability. People need to make amends. People need to employ new behaviors and new tactics for getting the things that they want that do not result in the harm of me and people that look and live like I do. And I think for a long time in drag, there's this idea that drag queens were supposed to be pure escapism that was devoid from the politic of the world, and that in itself is racist.
Doesn't even make sense.
And it doesn't make sense. Nothing we can do can be removed from the politic of the world. Absolutely nothing. You shitting in the toilet is political because the ability to have the fucking water to flush the toilet, to have a toilet to sit on, is political. Like we need to. We need to. And to
say that drag is pure escapism of what's going on in the world is complete and utter white. That is white bullshit because drag
Where did it
was
come from?
created in a way to say fuck all all of your gender roles and expectations. Fuck your colonial understanding of gender and gender presentation.
Right.
I'm going to do this as a fuck you to that whole system and to that whole understanding of oppositional binary thinking, right? That's why we do, and they say all the time, drag is political, drag is political. They never talk about the politics of drag, but they say it all the time that drag is political. And this is what we mean. This is why I enjoy this art form so much. That's why I was immediately drawn to it as soon as I saw it, because it is it turns the, like I said, the colonial object of gender on its nose, and it does it in a way that I hate to say the word empowering because it's like a buzzword, but it does it in a way that's like empowering. It does it in a way that is validating to other people who live outside of the gender binary, um, and it's just fucking enjoyable to watch. Right.
Yeah.
So to say that drag is complete escapism, I think again is the antithesis of what drag was created to do, which is why I love this show, and the reason for this show is because if you are a drag queen or if you enjoy the art of drag, it is imperative that your politics follow that line of thinking of we are going to turn colonial understandings on its nose and do something completely different. To not do that, to not think that way is kind of it is a complete distortion of the art form you say that you enjoy. Am I making sense?
You are crystal clear. You're making a lot of sense, Professor.
Okay.
And the syllabus was very clear. The study guide was immaculate. And thank you. I'm so glad that I registered for this course. I was wondering if you could maybe write me a recommendation for my
I got you.
fellowship.
I got you.
Well, thank you so much. I fucking love you, Professor Moore. Well, I fucking love you. Yeah, but I think all of that is part of me when talking about it, it's like a little bit heavy because it's just like I root so hard for us, and we're at a time in the world right now where, well, I don't know, depending on who you are and where your identity lies, but for myself, and I'm attacked on every, like, I feel like on every end of just like existing in the world, like being a Black person, being queer, being non-binary, being somebody who lives with chronic illness, I'm HIV positive, all these different things, like, are like real implications. The more you learn about the ways of the world, the more apparent those attacks become to you. And at a time right now where I'm watching this show and I'm seeing this just triumphant, beautiful story of somebody who has, charisma, but also has a sheer level of talent to me that sits in the level of virtuosity when it comes to drag, not being honored as such, it's super shitty. And are we tired of there only being one? Are we tired of us just only giving it to a couple? I like us to stop being so scarce and be abundant in the love and opportunity that we're spreading out there, And at the end of the fucking day, if you want to use her story, since it's like, they're talking about, people online, is the rhetoric offline, it's just like, oh, she had cancer a year ago. And it's here in the competition that is very real. People online were talking about, like, I have cancer right now. I had cancer a year ago. I had cancer 5 years ago. Many of us have had close family members near to us watch what that looks like, and for them to be able to come to the things that how it changes the physical landscape of how you can use your body, and for them to be here and to be doing and killing it, is one thing. But I don't think there should be this expectation. One, I think there shouldn't be an expectation that she can't, and it also shouldn't be one that she could. We should take her for whatever the fuck she's doing. And let it be sickening as it is what I'm getting at, But since they want to, they want to use it, and they give other bitches a pass in other seasons for, like, they didn't double eliminate Roxy Andrews and Alyssa Edwards because Roxy talked about how her mother left her at a bus stop 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying? She not left at the bus stop today, and they give redemption and a second thing and all of that. But what I'm saying is there's not, the Black people on this show do not get the same redeeming grace as other people.
No. I actually have in my notes that this episode is a prime example of how white queens on the show can get away with things that Black queens could never do, and that was mainly in reference to the presentation and the looks. But it's also in reference to exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. It's like I'm sitting here right now, and the episode's on in the background because you know how I'd be like if I was only on the podcast right now, like I would need to be twiddling my thumb or doing something else. But it's just on in the background, and Tamisha is really sitting here learning the fuck out of this lip sync, which also respect for her because that's the competition. You should learn the lip sync every week, even if you at the top like you at the bottom. You should be ready.
Right.
We saw what happened when you ain't ready.
Right.
But the fact that she's sitting there feeling like she might have to lip sync for her life after just in the bottom two when she just freaking did what she did.
Yeah.
She should be preparing herself for the win.
Absolutely. She should not have after the performance she gave on this episode, she should go into this what they believe is an elimination with the complete confidence that she is in the top this week.
And that she's going in next week. That's what she should
And the fact that she is not, it's racist, but the ist that that is central to her critique, to her negative critiques, to me was ableism.
Ding ding ding! I wanted the professor to say the word, but ding 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 ding.
It was ableist to say that a damn near 50-year-old recent cancer survivor needs to give you more so you feel comfortable with her performance. Is ableist as fuck. And again, we know that we cannot separate.
You can fucking suck a motherfucking dirty ass dick that just got painted on with your whole ass fucking mouth. Like, get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. I'm sorry, Lord. Please forgive me for I have sinned. My mouth is possessed right now by a couple demons, and I just it came out. It just came on up out of me. Okay,
that's what bigotry does to you. It makes you want to cuss.
Yeah, and I'm just like, what? And I be, you know how you be watching this show, and sometimes I take a peek to my left and a peek to my right, but like maybe somebody watching this with me, like, am I the only one who sees this bullshit? Like, I be talking to the little demon that be in the corner, my sleep paralysis demon in the corner. I be like, girl, do you see this shit on TV? And she be like,
do you see this bullshit? Yeah, when she said give more, I was just like, that is complete and utter.
Well, what else do you want me to fucking give, bitch? Like.
Yeah, I did not like it. It's like she was just looking for something negative to say when there wasn't anything negative to offer. Another thing that Michelle, since we're talking about Michelle and her critiques, another thing that I noticed she does is that normally when she's talking to queens of color, she'll try to relate to them by communicating in the way that they believe makes them comfortable.
She tries to homegirl them.
She does. She did it with Candy last week. She spoke in Spanish.
In your cara. Like,
yes. And then this week she put on this little black scent and did the little neck move, like, show me who you is. She didn't say is, but you know, she give you that. Like she put on that black scent and did a little neck twirl. Like, you don't do that when you talking to Rose. You didn't do that when you was talking to Denali. Like, these microaggressions, Michelle and Ross, like, they matter. You know what? And I know it seems innocuous, but they matter, like, and they're offensive, and they're not okay.
Down with microaggression 2021. It's an aggression, bitch. That's racist. Okay? And I know that you think, and this is the problem, this is how insidious the mythology of white supremacist culture is. Her proximity to the success of RuPaul has placed him at this level of example, right? That they are, if Ru say it's okay, I must not be doing it wrong, you know?
Right.
Her behavior is justified, encouraged, commodified. Okay, so why wouldn't she, give me the most fucking ill-retentive Spanish I have ever heard in my fucking life? One fucking word, fucking cara, one fucking word. You couldn't do the whole sentence in Espanol.
Yeah, Michelle and Ru, they definitely have a monopoly on the art of drag, and that needs to stop.
Well, you know what? Nicole Byer was such a refreshing judge. Her commentary was absolutely stunning. And every time I get a judge that I enjoy, she's not the only judge that has come on there and absolutely tore the house down. But what I think before the show today, you know how just so y'all know, we do be doing research on the show. We do have a wealth bank of knowledge at our at our fingertips. We do research.
We're not out here women.
Able to really,
we don't women. So we don't win this.
Yeah, so I was doing some research and I watched this short little documentary clip online about Mammification, and they were talking about and again, we're talking about Drag Race. This is a part of the media landscape of how we digest culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why do we continue to see these examples over and over and over again in television, in news, in media, in music, in dance, in all forms of entertainment and media that we digest? And it's because we still do not have people who have abundant seats at the table to create opportunities for this to be done correctly. And to get to the place where we're not getting it wrong anymore, we need an opportunity to get it wrong a few more times. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be rough along the way, but the shows aren't pushing the boundary, not pushing the politic, not pushing the rhetoric, not pushing the opportunities to really have, television can be a way to perform huge acts of justice for communities that have been disenfranchised for years. To tell a story the right way, to represent it the right way, to create a little snapshot of what could be in a 45-minute program, in an hour and a 90-minute program, is life-changing. And the reason we keep seeing it is because we need more people on that. On this show, to me, it would look like the producer's room and the writers on this show being more diverse, being more radical, more young, more young in thought. You know what I'm saying? More rooted in real history that fits and aligns with the experiences of Black people, of queer people, of women, right? Of trans people, and not still being led by the freaking leaders of our fucking abuse, And then it can't just be one person doing it, because we're not just one person. We need a variety of people so that when we take the average, of what's being done, that it's pushing the meter further and not going backwards. If RuPaul is if what we see on RuPaul's Drag Race as is for these 13 seasons is as far as we're going to push the needle, then we are lost.
Yeah. And maybe, and I think this is a good wrap up to this whole section. One of the crux of leftist politics and radical thought is expanding your imagination. Do not be so steeped in what we have been taught. Do not be so beholden to what you have been socialized to believe and accept. Expand your imagination. What would the world look like if I got with the winning team? What would the world look like if there was prison abolition? What would the world look like if we all centered a politic that was anti-racist, anti-capitalist? Like, what would that look like? And then take steps to do that. Have a big imagination. In a sense, and not to bring spiritual, there's a gospel song that says, "My God is a big God," or whatever. Make your politics that big, right?
Yeah.
Expand your imagination. Make your politics big. Make them larger than life. Don't settle for this colonial, settler, white supremacist bullshit that you have been fed. Think bigger, do bigger, expand your imagination. So at one point we can get to where the Michelle Vissages and the RuPauls is as much as they have done for the art of drag, that is not the bar that we are reaching for. We can reach for something way bigger, way more inclusive, way more equitable, to where we can have all of the things that we all need, right?
And with that, let the church say, "Amen."
Amen.
Now we have two. We have two
comments here.
Yes. I guess we gotta play them, but dear Heavenly Father, please do not let nobody call me a nigger again tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna need some more
Did you
wine.
all get the kind of diva bitchy attitude from Denali at first? In the beginning, I did not really like her, but then at the end of the episode, I really liked her.
To answer your question, it's an overwhelming yes. I think some of us probably still don't like her. I do think she's talented. Again, she's talented, and I don't know her personally. She might come on after the show and be like, the edit. And there is some truth to the edit, but yes, the answer is yes. I did get some motherfucking BIT to the mother. Oh, what? BI.
What was it? She spelled it. It was BICTH.
Yeah,
I got it too. I said it
Okay,
episode one. Her attitude was maybe it was
you
episode two.
called
Her
it.
attitude is terrible. Like
You called it.
it's terrible. And when I don't know if you noticed, it was just a little. It was like maybe half a second. But when Rose was getting really good critiques, she was side eyeing down.
House
Like,
down. The
she
eyes.
is not
She
a.
cut them eyes.
Yeah, she is not a good sport. She has a diva attitude for sure.
Yeah, I mean, she said in her thing that she going for the goat. She might get a little feisty. So I'm
Well,
like,
that's not the way to go for it.
well, I think the next line will be, "Bitch, watch out because I will fight the fuck out of you." How about that?
Yeah.
I'll fight you. Okay, let me play the next one.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying about Tamisha Iman. Although I really wish that she would have actually just come forward a bit more and delegated, because as soon as she spoke, all the queens just were silent immediately and they all listened to her. So I think she might have actually missed out on a really good opportunity to like really prove herself and show herself. To us and also the judges and also the contestants too, because she definitely has it in her and everyone really fucking respects her, so she could have really taken the lead on the choreography, I think.
Hey, love. Thank you for tuning in again. I'm so glad you're still listening to us.
Yes.
We need to connect, and I agree with you on that. And I will say, I mean, hindsight, of course, she probably could have like let more, but again, you know, she was working within the ability that she could, you know, handle within her body. But at the end of the day, she was a significant contribution to that main stage performance with getting the girls together on one accord, making final, like, we have to make a choice now for them, also making sure they were including people who were not strong in choreography, and she was part of coming up with some of that choreography, you know. And to me, that makes me even more salty that she was not you know, in the top, and or led to believe that she was in the top, and that she was not one of the people in the lip sync for the legacy for the coin. You know, she there right there is a prime example of how she was once again fucking killing it. So that's how I feel about it. Yeah, and
Yeah, I agree.
that's where we're at. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to Call In, Call Out, the exclusive after show for Drag from the Left, a weekly digital series where we review RuPaul's Drag Race and current social events from a radical leftist perspective. Thank you all for tuning in to Call In, Call Out. Be sure to follow us online at Drag from the Left. That's DRAGFTL. I'm your girl, the very Reverend Dr. Juanita Bind'Em.
And this is Avery. My drag name this week is She Need a Man with two N's.
And we will see you all next week. Have a good night.